Hi everybody, today we're getting into the OG super comfortable maximalist shoe, the Bondi 9. I'm sure you've seen these around town, whether it's in the gym, on running, or people traveling. A lot of people are wearing this shoe, so let's see if this new iteration of the shoe is legit or if it's just hype. Hi everyone, I'm Peyton with Rackets Runners, and before we dive into all things Bondi 9, please give us a like or subscribe or check us out at racketsandrunners.ca. So let's get into the new Bondi 9 and how it's different from the Bondi 8. First and foremost, the biggest difference I personally found in the shoe is the actual overall look of the shoe. One of the biggest complaints I got about the Bondi 8s from my customers is how big it looked on. People would look down at their feet and they would say, oh my gosh, I'm wearing boats. I think they did a very good job in this newest Bondi, and they really slimmed down the width of the shoe. It's still a very stable shoe, but it definitely looks more visually palatable. The next update that they did is that they actually added 2 more millimeters of cushioning in both the front and the backs of the shoes compared to the Bondi 8s. So it still has the same heel drop as the Bondi 8s, a 5 millimeter heel drop, but at least in the women's shoes, it is now a 42 and 37 millimeter stack heights for the heel and front of the shoe. The men's Bondi actually has a millimeter more of cushioning in the front and back of the shoe, probably since men tend to have more body weight, just to give a little bit of extra cushioning. Another update of the shoe is that they got rid of the finger loop at the heel to help you put the shoe on, and then they put this extended heel of the shoe so you can kind of grab it and slip it on instead of sticking your finger into a loop. Overall, I think the redesign of the shoe is going to be super popular, and I also think it's going to fit more into people's lives as an everyday shoe for like office, work, traveling, etc. just because it does look I would say better than the previous version. So the true biggest update of the shoe is actually the formula that they used to make the cushioning in the new Bondi 9s. The Bondi 8s were made with compression molded EVA foam. Essentially what that means is that they took this nice big airy bit of foam and they took it and they condensed it or compressed it into the midsole of the shoe. This is really nice because it provides a lot of good cushioning, it provides good durability for a foam cushioning system, but one of the complaints about that type of cushioning system is that people find that type of cushioning to be a little bit heavier and not as responsive. In the new Bondi 9s, they changed how they made the cushioning system of this shoe. Essentially, what they did with the Bondi 9 is that they started dipping their toes into supercritically forming EVA cushioning. Many brands have started using this type of cushioning system in their newer line of shoes, and it's also the type of cushioning system that's used in many super shoes. A little science lesson is needed to explain this process. A supercritical fluid is a substance that when it is heated past its critical pressure or temperature, essentially it can act like both a gas and a fluid at the same time. So essentially what that means is that they take this little piece of EVA foam, it's very condensed, and then what they do is that they inject it with supercritical nitrogen or carbon dioxide, and then they put it underneath a very hot, intense pressure and very high heat. And what that does is that the supercritical fluid goes into the foam cushioning system and it essentially aerates and expands the foam cushioning system, creating many tiny, densely, and evenly spaced cells. So essentially what this means, TLDR, is that the new cushioning system is much lighter and actually more responsive than the original compression molded EVA foam of the Bondi 8. Moving on to the fit of the Bondi 9s, I found that these fit me much better than the Bondi 8s. I personally actually couldn't wear the Bondi 8s because while the Bondis are a neutral shoe, HOKA does add a foot frame to the shoe. Essentially what that means is that they raise the midsole of the shoe so it cups around the back of the foot and then also kind of extends towards the arch of the foot to provide a bit more support for if you've been standing on your feet all day or when your feet start to get tired towards the ends of your runs. In the Bondi 8s, those were a bit too profound for me and they really cut into the arch of my foot and actually caused me discomfort. So I actually couldn't wear the Bondi 8s, and there was a portion of my customers who also couldn't wear the Bondi 8s for the same reason. In the Bondi 9, it's still very supportive and has a nice heel cup. It is a neutral shoe, but supportive in the sense that it just provides a bit more support around the back of the foot. But I didn't have the same problem where it would cut into my arches, and I found these shoes to actually be really comfortable, and I actually really enjoyed them. Fit-wise, I would say for walking and for working and for traveling, these are very true to size. I wore these around the store quite a bit, and the length was perfect, the width was great. For running, however, I do need a little bit more of a generous toe box for just because of my feet moving around during my runs and when my feet swell. And I actually did get some blistering in these shoes on the outsides of my big toes on the inside here. But by my third and longest run in these, which was about 17 kilometers, I found that the irritation wasn't as bad, even though that was a longer run. So I think there is just, at least for me, a break-in period for these shoes, but I am going to keep wearing these on my recovery runs because I actually really quite liked them. So if you're thinking about getting these for running, when you go in for fitting, I would recommend try your true size, but also try maybe half a size bigger, or try your length in a bigger width, just to see how it feels and if it's a bit more comfortable. All right, so how did these shoes feel in my everyday wear and my running? So I did a 10-kilometer run, a 6-kilometer tempo run, and then a 17-kilometer long run in these. So personally, I really don't like running on a treadmill because it feels like running on warped plywood on top of concrete. I just don't like the way it feels as the shock goes up through my legs on the treadmill. But I actually really liked running on the treadmill with these. I found that it absorbed the shock of landing on the hard surface really well, and it made it so much easier just to keep going. They're very well cushioned, and then the rocker along the bottom of the shoe, I haven't run in very many rocker bottomed shoes, and I actually quite enjoyed it. I've been training for a marathon, and recently I've been kind of struggling with a little bit of plantar fasciitis, and I've been having some IT band issues, and it didn't flare up when I was wearing these at all, even when running on the treadmill, which was great. And I think that has to do with how stiff the front of the shoe is and that rocker. It just really helped keep things going. While I have been doing cross training and some exercises to help me with these issues, I do think that part of the reason why it didn't flare up was because of these shoes. A lot of times those issues flare up when I do tempo workouts, and even tempo workouts on the hard treadmill. This was fine when I was wearing these. That being said, due to the vast amount of cushioning on these shoes, they're not the most responsive, so I wouldn't really recommend them if you're looking for a tempo run shoe. So moving on to everyday wear, I wore these for many days in a row at the store, and I really enjoyed wearing them as my working shoe because even though I'm on my feet all day and then running on top of that, my feet didn't ache at all in these. Even when I was wearing this for multiple days in a row and wearing them on top of at work, running in them all in the same day. So I've been really impressed with how these feel, and I will definitely take them traveling with me, and I will definitely keep them in my work shoe rotation. So who are these shoes for? For the runners, I think that the HOKA Bondis are going to be a really great shoe for people who are just getting into running. For runners who are looking for a new shoe to add to their rotation, this would be great for recovery runs, easy runs, and long runs. If you are looking for a race shoe, I would recommend something different just because this isn't as responsive. If you're looking for a race shoe, you might want to consider other things like the Glycerin Max. But again, if you're just getting into running or you just want a nice comfortable shoe for recovery runs, your long runs, and your easy runs, this is a great one. This shoe is also great for those of you who are worried about any hip or knee pain or high impact pain, or those of you who are taller or heavier. This is a great shoe because it is a very stable, supportive shoe, and it also has a lot of cushioning. It was originally made for ultra marathoning, so if you're worried about any impact discomfort going through your body as you're getting into running or going further in your running, this would be a great option for you. For my walkers, my travelers, and my workers, this shoe would be a great fit for you. Again, the cushioning is like wearing an orthopedic mat under your foot all day. I have a lot of doctors, teachers, nurses, service industry workers, people who are on their feet all day. A lot of them gravitate towards this shoe because it does provide comfort and relief from pain standing on your feet all day. For those of you who are trekking across Tokyo or taking a stroll in your local park or just looking for a shoe to take away the aches and pains of the day, this one's a great option for you. Shoes like the Bondi 9 are often also prescribed by doctors to help treat issues like plantar fasciitis, forefoot arthritis, Morton's neuroma, because it has this rocker shape along the bottom of the shoe, plus a stiffer forefoot that essentially splints the forefoot while you're walking, so the front of your foot doesn't have to flex as much and keeps from aggravating those issues. Another reason is why all of this cushioning throughout the bottom of the shoe, plus a wider base for support, just really helps, again, with that impact through the joints and helps roll your foot forward in a more natural motion if you're having any issues with that. Now, if we want to go and compare this shoe to other other shoes. This shoe I would say is very similar to shoes like the Brooks Ghost Max. It's very similar to the New Balance More and the New Balance 840 Fresh Foam. This shoe is very much part of that maximalist, high cushion, stiffer area of running shoes that is really great for long distance running and recovery. However, it is pretty much polar opposite to more of like a tempo type shoe like the New Balance Rebel, the HOKA Mach 6, just because it is a heavy running shoe and it is more cushioned. It's just a lot more shoe. So if you're looking for a bit more of like a speed run or a more flexible shoe, this one might not be the one for you. But if you're looking for something to help you on your long distance running, or if you just need a little bit more support, this is awesome. Keep in mind, this is not a stability shoe in the classic sense. It doesn't have any arch support, but it does provide support in the sense that it has a heel cup in the back to help you for when you're tired from standing all day or towards the end of your runs when your footwork might get a little bit more sloppy. That's gonna be all for this review today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in these shoes, come visit us in store or check us out at racketsandrunners.ca.